Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Patrick Joyce was actually one of the first people I spoke to with Justin Michael back in 2020 when I was first building Sales Driven. And that was the first time I heard a retainer at $10,000 a month. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? What have I got myself into? So, Patrick, it's been 6 years since then. A lot of things have changed your side of mine. For anybody that doesn't know who are you? What do you do? And why should anybody stay on for the next hour to listen to what you have to say?
Yeah, I am the founder and CEO of Outboundless. We're a US based cold calling agency. We do cold calling as a service. I've been in B2B tech since 2017. I worked my way up from SDR to SDR leader, founding SDR at multiple startups. Did enterprise business development on a team that got acquired by MasterCard. Did freelance consulting for about 2 years. Took a head of sales role at another startup. It was like a 12-person startup. Yeah, so I've been in the saddle for almost 10 years now.
All right. So, what makes this episode a little bit different is Patrick isn't theorizing about Outbound. He's actually on the phones every day. He's running a decent sized cold calling agency. You wrote a book calling out everything wrong with how the industry treats SDRs, and then you built a company to do it differently. At one of the companies you were at, you were in a team, or you're responsible for a team that booked 44 meetings in a single day through cold calling alone. So tell me a little bit about that experience. What was that like? What was the position? Walk me through that experience of booking all those meetings at that company.
Yeah, for sure. So I was essentially head of operations at an agency called Level Up Leads. We had 70 clients. I'd say I was managing at one point um, 30 SDRs, six CSMs, and two SDR managers. That was my roll up, and we did email, LinkedIn also, but our primary channel was the phone. It's what we were very good at.
Hmm.
That's kind of where I sort of earned my stripes in terms of running an agency. I saw what that looks like at scale. And yeah, I mean, we were just a phone heavy shop. It was high volume cold calling, which you will see all the gurus will tell you that high volume is the wrong approach and you need to personalize. And we just sort of took a different tack. And our approach was let's have all the reps make 200 calls a day, talk to as many people as possible, 200 to 400 calls a day, actually.
Hmm.
uh, Talk to as many people as possible, get as many at bats as possible. And the idea behind that is that the more people you talk to, the more conversations you have, the stronger the reps are going to become. Perfect is the enemy of good. You could sit there and theorize about it all day long. You could try to write the perfect pitch and spend 2 weeks crafting it, or you could get on the phone and talk to 40 people by the end of the week. Every time you have one of those conversations, you get an objection you don't know how to handle, you get a question you don't know how to answer. We record all the calls and then go back to the client with it and then play the call back and say, hey, how do we handle this? And then our reps are getting incrementally better every single day. So
Yeah.
yeah, 44 meetings in a single day. That was across a wide client base with a lot of different things that we were pitching, which is a beast unto itself. It is a very difficult project to manage 70 clients at the same time. That's 70 different pitches. That's a lot of list building. That's a lot of TAM analysis. That is a lot of segmentation, like getting all those details right. Which those last couple things I just mentioned, those are the most important part of the process. You could have a mediocre rep in front of a good list, and broken clock is right twice a day. Like they will
Hmm.
find somebody on that list that is in market, sort of
Hmm.
almost like by accident. If you just put them in
Hmm.
front of a good list, if you take the best cold caller in the world and put in front of a list that doesn't make any sense, where you're calling the wrong persona, you're calling into the wrong industry, the person doesn't have the problem, there's nothing's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
So I think really like what I learned there, the strength was building a strong targeted list is priority 1A, 1B. It's the most important thing you could do.
The list is the strategy. So with 70 clients, this is a problem I see all over the place. It is the amount of information that is passed between one client and then 70 is like night and day. So not only do you have, let's say you booked 44 meetings that day. How does an agency of that size track those meetings and then deliver those meetings so all of the context is in it, all of the insights behind how that meeting was developed in terms of was that meeting booked on that day? Or was it an accumulation of 2 weeks of cold calling and then they hit them, hey, call me back. And then on that particular day, they were able to convert the meeting. Oh, yeah, I've got time. Tell me why you're calling. What was it? How does an agency of that size manage that many clients then? In what structure? What do you think? What do you guys use?
Yeah, so we had a custom built client portal essentially where
Hmm.
once the meeting got booked, the rep would go and log it in the client portal.
Hmm.
And it would have, notes associated with each of those meetings. So, like I said, I had 30 or 40 SDRs that were making calls. Um, so 30 reps, 44 meetings, that's like, 1.2 per rep or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so that we just had a strong system in place where, yeah, like the rep would go and log the meeting in the client portal for each of the different clients. There was like a drop down list. Which client did you book the meeting for? What's
Hmm.
the date? What are the notes? Who is it with, etc.
And then how do the clients respond to that? What is their take on it, like accepting every one of them? Is there ever any pushback on it? How does that work out?
As you know, there's always going to be a wide range there where some of the meetings don't show up. Some of for the most part, though, like we were booking qualified meetings. Like we weren't just pushing through like some random thing where, the client gets the meeting and the person had no idea what they booked a meeting for. Like we were booking quality meetings because we're qualifying them on the phone.
Hmm.
And I mean, just to harp on the point, like the list was the strategy. Like the list was good. We were putting them in front of VP of sales at mid-market tech companies, for
Hmm.
example, or
Hmm.
CIOs at early stage startups, or whatever it was. Like
Hmm.
we were only calling people that were going to be relevant for them.
It makes a lot of sense. So let's backtrack a little bit because I remember, like, very early on, there was a career that you had. You worked on a garbage truck. It was your brothers in the Teamsters. You taught math in a low income district outside Boston. What did that world teach you that the SaaS sales world desperately needed to hear?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like two different pieces of the story there. Working on the garbage truck with my brother while I was in school. That I mean, I was in college at night, like trying to finish my degree so I could go become a teacher. Working on the truck with my brother, that really did a lot for me. One of the main things I think that experience did was I watched him navigate the network. That of like he was the shop steward for the Teamsters Union, so he was the representative between the workers and management,
Hmm.
and he was essentially like the union rep. So a lot of stuff that happened went through his cell phone, and he spent a lot of his day doing favors for people, like handing stuff out. Like there would be side jobs that would come up, or like a favor that would happen here, and he was always trying to figure out how do I do something for the people around me rather than thinking of it as what can I get out of the people around me. It was the exact opposite approach. It was what can I do to help everybody else around me make money, and then that came
Hmm.
back to him in spades. So I took that approach with me to the tech industry. Like as soon as I got an SDR job, I was like, how can I help the person sitting next to me book more meetings?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna get mine. I'm at the top of the leaderboard anyway.
Hmm.
How can I help the people around me? And then everybody sees that happening. They say, "Oh, Patrick's the homie. Like he's out there. He's lifting up the team and the people around him." And then that actually played out better for me than if I was to try to hold it all to myself and keep everybody else down, which I think is really the approach that most people take. Is that they want to
Hmm.
be the superstar, they want to be the person that's up top.
Hmm.
Um, I really like benefited a lot from people observing me behave that way, that opened doors that I would not have had access to otherwise. People that I didn't even know were watching were observing that. And then, That's how I ended up on the enterprise business development team because there was some guy that went and got a job there and they needed a founding BDR to go and build out their outbound. And he was like, oh, I know a guy, the guy that I worked with at ZipWhip, he was the man. And that was me.
What do you think it was that gave you like for me? All right, so I'll tell you this. For me, when I first moved back to the UK, my uncle wanted me to work in a fish and chip shop, serving fucking cod and chips to people in like a typical Indian city that I did not want to do at all. So I landed myself in the security job, making £5 an hour, 15-hour shifts, 4-hour commute to and from work. And I absolutely hated it until I got one job interview in London, central London, at a sales company selling financial services to banks. Just the way it was, selling financial service training courses to banks made me feel so much better than saying I was a security guard. And when I got to that company, I had no idea what I'd be doing, but they put me on a phone. They said, here you go. You've got 3 days to learn this, this, this. It was the list, the types of people, what their problems were. And then you're going to get on the phone and you're going to make a call. I'd never made a cold call in my life. Actually, I did. And like, I was trying to learn how to be a stockbroker. I made that phone call and the entire room stopped. And they were like, wow, how do you have so much confidence? How did you learn how to do that? I thought you never did sales before. And I absolutely loved it. I ate it up. And then when I got onto the big floor, it happened again. And I was the guy who you were kind of coaching through, but I had to kind of do it myself. I had to learn for myself through Grant Cardone kind of books and all that nonsense. What what was it? I liked the excitement. I liked the attention. I loved being better than the crowd as something that like I never thought I knew, like I never thought I'd be as good as I was at kind of cold calling and it being in sales. What was it that got you so motivated about being an SDR from like complete change of careers? What was it that got you like not the bullshit? What's the real stuff that got you motivated about being an SDR, about getting on the phone, about making something happen for yourself in front of a bunch of people?
Yeah, I thought honestly, I mean, people are gonna look at me a little bit sideways for this. I thought it wasn't that hard. Like and it's a meritocracy. Like the your performance speaks for itself. Like if you are the top seller, they put your name on a plaque and they hang it up in the hallway. Like you go to
Mm,
President's Club dinner if you're the top rep. There's no
mm,
questions about it. It's like, did you do it or did you not?
yeah.
And I, like I said, man, I worked outside with my brother slinging garbage in Boston in the wintertime. That's a tough job. And all of a sudden, I'm indoors. I'm across the street from T-Mobile Park in downtown Seattle, in a really nice office with a great view, a kombucha keg on tap, people riding scooters around. All I get to do is pick up the phone, and there's $100 on the other end of the line, and I just get to rip dials all day. Like this isn't all that difficult.
Yeah.
I can do this.
So you said you crushed your first SDR job by breaking every rule. Tell us about the specifics. Which rule did you break first, and what happened when your manager found out?
Yeah. The very first thing that happened was they were passing us leads in Salesforce. They said, the SDR team, we've got these leads. These are all interested leads. And what they really had was they had 3 years, 3 or 4 years of backed up MQLs, marketing qualified leads, that were somebody that
Oof.
had downloaded a white paper or somebody that had attended a webinar from 3 years ago now. Uh,
Wow.
so and that was the list that they gave me. They said just go and pull from the queue, put 100 people in your list and just go and make the calls, drop them in your email sequence or whatever. And this was back in yeah, this was back in 2017. So outreach was the big thing back then. You would drop them in a sequence. It would be step one, call; step two, send an email. You just
Yep.
the whole thing. And I'm calling people. I'm getting on the line, and they're like, "Yeah, is this George? No, George retired 3 years ago, or George doesn't work here anymore."
Typical. Hmm.
I mean, the 3 years went by since the last time that this was relevant. So I figured out right away this isn't the path that's going to go down. So the first thing I did, I went to the AEs that were closing the deals, and I said, "Who's buying this thing?" It was a texting software, so it was you could turn your landline into something that you could text message through a web app,
Hmm.
which allowed like bike shops or credit unions or like anybody that had a landline that dealt with B2C type customers, they wanted to be able to text their customers. So I went to the AEs, and the vertical that I was in was finance. And I said, who's buying this thing and why? And they said, credit unions are really, really good because they're all trying to figure out how to increase the number of loan applications that they get or speed up the loan application process. And they're trying to reduce their write offs on late payments. So if they extend credit to somebody and then the person doesn't pay, they have to sell that debt to a debt collection agency, and they're
Yeah.
losing money on these write offs. So those are the two primary reasons why these credit unions are trying to introduce texting into their processes so they can access people quicker because nobody answers the phone when they call.
Hmm.
So I said, okay. I went to a website. I found every credit union in the United States broken down by state. If you go to a credit union website, they have the name and phone number, the extension of everybody that works there, and a picture of them in their title. So I just went and manually built my list of the person that was going to be in charge of operations or technology or whatever at each of these credit unions, and spent hours and hours building a list manually that way. And then calling down that list and forgetting about everything else that was in the CRM. So I was literally manually entering contacts into the CRM, into Salesforce, and building my own list and then going and crushing meetings. So when what happened was, I'm getting 10, 12 meetings a month or whatever. Everybody else is getting one or two, just calling the leads that were in Salesforce already. And my manager said, well, how are you doing this? And I showed her, and she was like, okay, just keep doing whatever you're doing. That's when I started to figure out, like, okay, it's really just based on performance. Nobody
Yeah.
cares what happens before, like what happened before. If you didn't follow the process, it's not even that big of a deal. The big deal is, did you get the result or not? Because
Hmm.
everybody in sales, everybody's under all this pressure, right? The manager is looking at her team going, man, this team is underperforming. That reflects on me. And
Yeah.
I was kind of the one that was like breaking the rules, figuring out what actually needed to happen in order to get our numbers to go up. And not only that, helping all the people around me, like listening
Hmm.
to calls. Like I was holding a team meeting, just almost like a captain's meeting
Hmm.
every Friday, where we would get in the room and we would play calls and we would listen to each other's calls and, like, how could this have gone better? So yeah,
Well, look.
none of that was scripted. None of that. I was not following the process whatsoever.
Well, look, when you talk about pressure, it's the one thing that really gets somebody moving. I don't think there's ever been anything compelling enough as a business owner that didn't really surface from pressure. Whether it was a big tax bill, whether it was a client churning or something new, or you wanted to hire somebody or invest in something, it's always come from pressure. And you said you started Outboundless to buy back your freedom. So from running a massive agency team and now to what you're doing, it doesn't really sound like freedom. And I know for a fact agency world is not freedom. So would you say it actually worked?
Absolutely. I'm happier than I've ever been. And what I really meant by that was I didn't want my income to be tied to somebody else anymore. I wanted to be in charge of it. So better or for worse, like, man, I've had a bunch of different jobs. Like I've gotten fired from jobs for not doing anything wrong, just for being in the wrong market, being in the wrong scenario. Like you can't there's a lot of things that you can't control in sales,
Mhm.
like especially as a head of sales role. Look, the average tenure for a VP of sales at a tech company is 18 months. That's
That's
6 months to
nuts,
get in,
right?
6 months to get in, figure out what's going on, 6 months to try to make it happen, and then 6 months to plan your exit. That's the normal playbook.
But
And
why
I
is that? What would let's stop. I want to stop on that because I find that really, really interesting and peculiar at the same time. Why do you think the number is 18?
Uh, I think that the role is destined to fail. Like it's almost like you are a scapegoat. That's what I talked about in the Illuminati Manifesto. Is that it's designed to be a scapegoat, right? Like they are putting somebody in charge of something that they don't have a ton of control over. So what happens is a founder gets an idea, they pitch it to investors. The investors say, "Yeah, this sounds great." They get some initial traction through their immediate network, like friends they
Hmm.
had at whatever job, they were VP at some like big company, so they've got a bunch of connections. and they get people to sit down and listen to them and give them the 30 minutes on the Zoom
Mhm.
call. And they say, yeah, this sounds great. They get a couple customers, and then they go and try to do outbound, and it falls flat on its face immediately. And the founder is usually not the person doing the outbound. They usually hire somebody to do that. And they hire somebody like me to go and do that. And then when it doesn't work because the concept was flawed, they didn't have the market presence to be able to go and convince people to buy into this. They didn't have the pitch down yet. I only have so much time to try to figure that out before the person that hired me is going to get nervous and just cut their losses.
How much data do you think a business needs to have for you to be successful with their outbound operation, especially if you're the one starting it?
How much data? Well, I think
Like
what you
in terms of like months. So let's say 3 months of data. Should they have a year's worth of data? Like
it doesn't
just use
matter
a
how much
time
time it
frame.
takes. It doesn't matter how much time it takes. What you need to know is you need to know who exactly is your audience. What are they doing right now?
Hold on, but
What
how? Hold on, wait. But how can you know your audience if you have not? So if you're on month zero, you're at ground zero. How can you know your audience?
You don't. You have to spend some time figuring that out. Either you have to do it yourself and figure out exactly who it is. Is it okay? So you have a general idea, it's operations folks that are going to be interested in your platform. Okay, that's great. Which operations folks? Which companies? Which companies are likely to be in the exact scenario where the problem that you are solving is a big enough roadblock for them where they need to do something about it right now. It
Mhm.
cannot be a nice to have. If it's going to be a better version of something that they're already doing that's working for them, it's going to fall flat. Like you're going to cold call somebody and you're going to talk to them and you're going to say, "Hey, I've got a way to get you out of spreadsheets on your monthly reporting." They're
Well,
going to
for
say,
you
"Hey,
then, do you? So
the
do
spreadsheets are
just
working fine."
well, do you? Because the question I have is, do you think it's even worth it for you as an agency? And I always argue this because I don't think it's worth a startup hiring an agency within their first 6 to 12 months. I worked with a company not even too long ago. They were doing voice AI stuff. Now, the difference between them and one that I worked for before that is they had landed a $200,000 a year contract as their first client, but it was an introduction from their VC.
Yeah,
So
of course.
not only had they been invest, they've had a million. So they've had $1 million into the business. They've got a huge team, right? I wouldn't say a huge team, about 10, 14 on the development team. They got a founder, two founders, no sales, right? No sales at all. The founder and the VC obviously had a relationship, put a connection together, got a massive contract together. So now they're like, all right, let's go after this market. This sounds like the market to go after. And they said, I also believe this second market is good. So what did I do? I went and brought that secondary market to them. They played with it and then said, you know what? I don't think for perfectly qualified opportunities, managing directors, CEOs of those companies in buying mode,
Yep.
they didn't want to proceed because they thought that it was better. So they sacked off all of that work and then went the other direction. What I told them they should have stayed in that direction initially, but they didn't want to listen. They want. So what do you think about that? Like, I think 6 months to a year is the minimum a company should have before I will touch them.
I'll give you my take. That's one way to look at it. The way that I look at it is this: is you are not necessarily hiring me for the number of leads that I'm going to bring you. What you are hiring me for is to open a feedback loop through a channel that you would not have had access to otherwise. So that right there was a learning experience for them. Whether
Mhm.
you agreed with them or not, they figured out pretty quickly that that was not the route that they wanted to go down. They wouldn't have been able to learn that otherwise. And
But what
finally,
makes you? What makes that? What makes like an agency different? Because they all say that. They all say we're all going to give you a feedback loop. We're all going to build out your engine. We're going to tell. This is what they're going to do. They're going to say we're going to build out your list. We're going to build out your account list. We're going to build out your strategy. We're going to be your
I sell it
supporting
differently.
arm.
I sell it differently. I don't sell on a guarantee of, look, I'm going to do this for you and it's going to work right and you're going to get exactly what you want out of it. It's not how I pitch it. What I pitch it is I'm going to help you figure out what direction you're supposed to be in. Early stage startups is my specialty. It's where I've spent my whole career. Every day the last 10 years. I've been trying to figure this out for a bunch of different companies. Um, if you were to go and hire somebody to try and do this, number one, you're not going to have access to the best talent. to the level that I do. You're going to go and hire whoever is available for a job. You're going to interview them. You're going to do your best guess, like squint your eyes and turn sideways and say, yeah, this guy's probably going to work out. It's going to take them a bunch of time to ramp up. There's an opportunity cost associated with trying to coach that person up, manage them, make sure they're doing the work. You're going to buy software for them. You're going to go buy Zoom info. You're going to buy a dialer. You're going to do the emails. You're going to put a bunch of time, energy, and effort into this thing. It's going to take you 6 weeks to launch it minimum. That's if everything goes perfectly. That's like you find you put the job rec out, you go and find the interview, whatever say it takes 2 weeks to hire somebody. Then it's going to take minimum a minimum another month if you have all your ducks in a row when they get there. Most likely it's not. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 months before you even get the ball rolling here. I'm going to get started as an agency in 3 days. I've done this a million times. I do this for everybody. I already have the software. I already have the rep. I'm going to do the intake with you. I'm going to listen to everything that you have to say. 2 days later, I'm going to have somebody on the phone. You're going to be getting live feedback immediately. And it's going to cost you a lot less than it would to hire that person.
So the question for you is, you get it, and the agency owners like us will get it. But the founders that you work with, how much of them actually have that patience that you're talking about or requiring from them?
Well, like I said, I mean, that's how I pitch it. So if they don't
No, it's
get
not
it,
how you pitch it. Forget how you pitch it. This is no question about how you pitch it. This is about the buyer, right? The person
but here's
buying this
what I'm
and their
saying
appetite for it.
I'm filtering people out in my sales process that way.
Yes, but
So
we're not talking about you. Remember, look, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the buyers of this, right? Because we want buyers to come and feel confident. We want them to feel assured that when they come to an agency, they're secure in it, right? But so it's not about you. What is the assurances that they have in terms of them feeling confident that the service is going to work? Will their patience be enough for you? Will you be able to get it done in the time of their patience?
the people that I've worked with that have been the best clients for us that have stuck around the longest are the ones who get it. The ones who I make that pitch to, and they are in line with exactly what I'm saying. And the reason that is true is because they've done it before. The ones who have never done it before, they're first time founders,
Yeah,
very often don't get it. They look at it as cost per lead. They're like, how many
yeah.
leads can you guarantee me a month? And I say, I can't. I can't guarantee you a number of leads per month. That's not what you're paying me for. You're paying me for headcount replacement. I'm going to move faster. I'm going to do it better. And and I'm going to take a lot. I'm going to de-risk you getting started with Outbound by making a low commit contract, right? 3 month contract. You have the lifespan of the contract is 3 months. It's going to take you 3 months to go find somebody, hire them, and ramp them up,
Of
right?
course, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. So, along with that, let's go into strategy. There's one strategy that I've heard, and I know you do very well, and it's these one-line emails. I still remember it to this day. You said you want to get that email covered in the notification screen. Whenever I used to tell that to clients, they were like, "That's genius." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea. I read it in this book somewhere." So, if you're looking at this, every sales trainer alive would tell you that's unprofessional. Why are they wrong?
Yeah, because nobody wants to read your email. I mean, I don't know. Nobody wants to read it. It's like inviting somebody to your wedding. Nobody wants to go, man. Nobody.
Let's go into that more. Dive deeper into that. Why do they not want to read it? So they can
Everybody's
understand.
busy. Everybody's busy. I mean, my inbox is flooded. People are dying. It feels good to group select and delete emails. So if I can make the decision that this is not something I need to read right now, if it's somebody that's trying to get money out of me, somebody that's trying to get something out of me, it's the first thing to go. It's a very good feeling to decide I don't have to pay attention to this. I'm
Yeah.
going to circuit that by your initial glance at it. I want to get my message across as quickly as possible to short circuit you defending yourself by trying to get rid of it. Right? The reader is trying to defend themselves from distraction by getting rid of the stuff that they don't have to pay attention to.
And they're doing it really well right now. I just ran this week. I decided to get on the phone again after a while, right? And I ran so many calls, and the amount of like the Apple filter right now is insane. It's absolutely insane, right? So one thing that, again, that before we get into that, you do your three cluster email sequence is a main email plus two bumps. Most sales organizations spend weeks writing 8 to 10 unique emails. You're saying just bump the same message back up to the top. Why does that beat the 8 email approach?
Because you find the same thing out a little bit quicker. It doesn't. Okay, so writing an email and then writing a follow-up email and then writing another follow-up email doesn't necessarily change the outcome. All this follow-up, all the subsequent emails are doing is reminding the people of the first time they read your message. I think
Mhm.
another mistake that people make is they send them as separate threads, right? So you've got over a 30-day period, you've got all these different messages in your inbox, like, hey, just following up one last time. You sent that first email 6 weeks ago. They don't remember what it was. They have no idea what it was, right? Like why would they? I mean, they already deleted that message. Each touch point has to have the context of the full thing that you're trying to get across. Like
Mhm.
maybe if you've got 3 points that you want to make, you can write your first email with the first point in it, and then put the second point in the reply email that follows that, and then put the third point in the reply email that follows the first two.
How
And
do you
and
feel about? Sorry, go on, carry on.
and then do it over the course of 3 days. Like, why wait 6 weeks to do this? Like, just bump it once, bump it twice, bump it again. I mean, 10 days goes by, you're going to find out, like, is this person a buyer right now or not?
How do you
And
feel
if
about
they're
just
not,
throwing it
bump
in the
it.
subject line? Your entire message in the subject line.
Yeah, do it.
Book
Go
a
for it.
meeting with me.
I think that it matters very little. Like, the actual content of your message matters very little. I think people spend a lot of time optimizing for what's the right greeting, what's the right
Mhm.
template, the
Yeah.
F curve reading, and what's the right call to action, and is this worth learning more? Like that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Nope.
matter. What is the problem that you are suggesting that you can solve for them, and is that a big enough problem for them to take action on it right now? Is that something that they are actively trying to solve? That is all you are trying to decide. You're not going to convince somebody by changing the call to action. It doesn't make a difference.
It's so true. But hey, look, it comes from poor leadership, right? And poor leadership is something that I think you and I know very, very well. My situation was what pushed me to say, look, I can do this better than this clown. I'm sure you've been in the same kind of situation. So let's talk about the SDR exploitation paradox. So your book calls this out as one of the most dangerous myths in tech sales. You run a big SDR agency, so how do you make sure you're not the villain of your own book?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I treat my reps very, very, very well. They
Everybody
get
says it.
they get paid well. I make their job easy for them. They don't have to build a list. They don't really have to deal with the client all that much. I mean, they meet with them every other week to go and try and debrief like some of the things that they're hearing on the phone. They interact a little bit in the Slack channel where they'll post a call and say, "Hey, can I get some feedback on this?" But for the most part, they just log in and dial because I know what being in that seat is like. Like if I say, "Okay, your quota is 20 meetings, you have no list, you have to go do it yourself," and you have very little direction on how to do this, like
Mm,
I'm going to lose people pretty quickly. Not only that, my agency isn't going to perform all that well. So I
yeah.
try to set people up for success because I've been in that chair and I know exactly what it's like. All they have to do is show up, log in, make the calls, and then that's it. And then they go about their day. I pay my guys on a per project basis, right? So I'm not paying hourly. I'm not outsourcing offshore. I'm paying very talented professional cold callers to just show up and do what they do best and make cold calls.
Well, look, it's really, really a different way of looking at it because there's a ton of chop shops. There's people promising dreams and like put just dangling a carrot in front of you for so long. What do you recommend to an SDR that is in that situation right now where they're in a job, they feel trapped, they feel like it's the only hope, and they've got this guy dangling a carrot in front of them that they know is impossible to catch?
Uh, you, you gotta, the number one startup that you work for is a startup of you. You are the most important person that you work for. Um, That said, you always have to look at the positives in every situation. What am I getting out of this that I wouldn't been able to have gotten otherwise? And
Mhm.
absorb as much as you can while you're there. If you're in a situation that you're having a bad experience, take all the positives out of it and then figure out what your next move is. Don't worry about recruiters telling you that you can't job hop. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. You can make
I
money.
agree.
You can go find another position. You can find an AE job. I've heard many, many, many stories of people that I've coached personally. Like I've coached them on cold calls. They go and make a cold call. They cold call VP of sales. The VP of sales says, "Hey, I'm looking for a rep. You're really good at this. You're good at opening new business. I'm looking for an AE that can go and hunt. Like, are you looking for a job right now?" I've had that come up multiple times from clients of mine that have coached, right? Like you can always find a way to make yourself better, in and take get everything, squeeze everything you can out of the situation that you're in while you're looking for something else. Never put yourself behind the eight ball and always make them fire you. Don't quit until you
Okay.
do something else.
So I got approached by a kid yesterday. I wouldn't say he's a kid. He's on LinkedIn, and he said he's having a really difficult time in the interview process. And I said, "What do you find so hard about it?" He said, "In the interview process, I've had a lot of interviews, but I don't feel like I'm able to answer the questions a lot because it's down to lack of experience." So I said, "Get a job anywhere." He said they won't pay me. So what do you recommend? Should people, SDRs who are trying to break into tech sales, should they work for free to get the experience they want if they have a chance to break into the industry?
If that's what it takes, absolutely. Look, LinkedIn is endless possibility. There's plenty of people out there you can talk to. Follow the top names, figure out who they are. If you don't know, go and start asking around, DM people, ask people like, who should I follow? Who's going to be good at this? Like Josh Braun. I'm blanking on the rest of the names right now. Who are all the big SDR thought leader people on LinkedIn? Go find
James
them. Go follow
Buckley,
them.
yeah, all those people. Yep.
Go find them. Go follow them. Go talk to them. Network. Push your way in. Figure out what can I do? How can I help you? I want to learn. I want to learn. You tell me how I got this question in an interview and I didn't know how to answer it. How should I answer this? Then the next time you get that question in an interview, you say, "Look, I've never done it before, but here's what I did. I went on LinkedIn and I found people that do know the answer to this, and this is what they told me." That's going to say a lot to the interview. If
Mhm.
you are absolutely like relentlessly tenacious about bettering yourself, coaching yourself up, finding a way to learn, break and trying to break in, that's going to say a lot to the person interviewing you. The problem with a job interview is that the interview is not necessarily, like, people have the wrong idea. They think that the interviewer is trying to learn about them. What
Mhm.
they are doing is they're trying to filter you out. They are actively looking for a reason to say no to you. That is
Very
what the
true.
only reason why they are asking those questions. So if you look at it like that, if you flip the mentality and you give them no reason, it's like, man, I would be stupid to not hire this kid. Maybe he doesn't have any experience, but look at what a hustler he is. He's grinding out there. He doesn't even know, he's never even had this job before, and look at how much he's learned just on his own by going and getting out there and connecting with people and networking. I mean, yeah, yeah,
It's
that's the best
unbeatable.
give.
It's
Yeah.
unbeatable. So for a founder listening right now who has never done outbound, they've been all inbound and they're about to pick up the phone for the first time. What is the one thing they need to understand before they dial?
You have no chance.
Tell me more. Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you are gonna fail every single time. You are destined to fail. You're into the fan blade, man. Like, you're gonna get cut up doing this. It's not gonna be easy. Like, outbound is completely different animal. You're gonna get hung up on a lot, especially when you don't know how to make the pitch, you don't know how to get somebody's attention. You should probably just go and hire somebody, like maybe Outboundless, to make the call.
Well, look, I think that's a great way to wrap up the pod. Are there any last words before we wrap up the call?
I don't know. Follow me on LinkedIn, I guess.
All right, then, bro. That's the pod. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode and staying here the whole way through. If you like what you saw, click subscribe. It'll take you 2 seconds. It helps me reach amazing guests.
and deliver valuable content for you. And if you ever want to find out what we do as a business, go to www.gorevintel.com, and that is the place where we help you make decisions that are backed by intelligence, and it's for founder CEOs. That's it for me for now. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.